Hey, lovely people. Viv going live from York. Um, yeah, it's been a weird couple of days, and I can't even remember what it was, but I remember I was walking along with someone and we went past a park somewhere in York, it must have been, and it just got me thinking about why is it that kids who are really good at playing and moving, using their bodies, etc., 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 get to have parks and adults really don't. Or if we do, it's like the theme parks that cost a huge amount of money, and some people don't like those sorts of things. It's not just sort of a movement and fun thing, it's more of a thrill seeking, whatnot thing. And then I had a really interesting discussion with a life coach yesterday. I went in for a competition and I won a couple of sessions of life coaching, and this was sort of before my dad got ill. So I've sort of put off, hi Nikki, I've put off actually doing the life coaching. Then I thought, oh, well, I can't put it off forever. So I got in touch with her and just said, look, I'm obviously still in a bit of a weird place. I've lost my dad. I'm not really sure sort of what's happening with my business at the moment and where I want to go with it and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure what we're going to end up talking about, but I'd still like to have the sessions and I don't want to mess you around by sort of putting them off for the next however long. And we had a really interesting discussion about what I could do in this sort of new frame of mind I'm in at the moment with I've got a lot of emotional stuff going on. Some days are fine, other days are not. Some bits of days are fine, other bits of days aren't. I'm doing a lot more writing, which I'm really enjoying, but it's sort of cathartic writing in some ways and poetry writing, which is really lovely because my dad was a bit of a poet and obviously he wrote books. So in one way it's lovely and in another way it reminds me that I've lost my dad, and that's something that we had in common. But we had a really nice discussion and it weirdly ended up sort of going full circle from the fact I'd had this thought about having fun and playing and moving and using my body and freedom and stuff like that, and why we really encourage that in kids but don't sort of encourage it in adults. And if you like that sort of thing, you're seen as sort of childish sometimes rather than what I'd class as childlike, or you're seen as a bit weird. You know, you're not acting your age, whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. It's not like somebody gives you out a set of rules that says at the age of 47 you should be like this. And the session ended up with, me saying what I really want to do between now and the next session I have with her is remind myself to have fun. And that really got me thinking, because I've spent quite a lot of my life home educating my children and sort of running around just checking that they're having fun. And yeah, some of that has been fun. I mean, some of the sessions we used to do with the kids was hysterical because we'd set up this thing that we thought was fun, like some creativity thing or building thing or science or whatever. And actually, the kids would be all over there playing, having fun in the way they wanted to, and it would be the adults sitting at the table doing the sort of structured thing that we'd set up for the kids to do, which always made me laugh. It happens so often, it was ridiculous. So, that thing of what actually do I find fun? And, I started writing a list of things that I know I love doing, but I don't do, because I've got into the habit of putting other people first, which is fine. I absolutely love my life. I love what I've done with my kids. I love what the space I have to do the things I want to do. But what I've forgotten is, as they've got older and don't need me around as much, that I can actually do some of the things I want to do. And also I've put on hold doing stuff because it costs money. And in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, oh, I need to put some aside in case the kids want to do something. And it's getting to that point where I'm like, well, actually, maybe I can put aside stuff so that I can do something. So it really got me thinking, Nikki, right, I've got a list. So Nikki's just asked what have I got in mind. So silly little things that are ridiculous. If you think, I've lived in York for 20 years now, and I love boats. People don't know this about me. Not little boats, i.e. close to the water, because I don't like water, but I love being on boats, canal boats, you know, boats that are not your sort of, I don't know what you'd call them, not too low to the water, basically. And I live in York, you know, that thing that's got a river running through it. And we've got the big touristy boat that goes up and you can have a meal at the pub up the river and then come back on the boat, or the one that just goes around telling you the history of York. And I've been on it 3 times in 20 years. I love boats, like ridiculously love boats. My great-grandfather was a merchant seaman. That's how much I love boats. I'm sure it's like a genetic thing. And I don't go on them because it's money or it's time or the kids didn't want to or it's a touristy thing. But there's nothing to stop me going on a boat occasionally, and I'd find it really fun. And then I'd probably be happy for like 2 weeks afterwards because I love boats. Or the Harrogate Baths. I love going to the Harrogate Baths. I love that sort of cold exposure, ridiculously sitting in warm rooms, talking, nattering away to people. And again, really lucky, there's only 2 lots of baths in the whole of the UK, I think. One in Bath and one in Harrogate. And I live close to Harrogate, so why aren't I going to the baths more often? But then other stuff like climbing. I don't go to the climbing wall enough just because I forget. And I've got hula hoops. I'll show you, in fact. I've got hula hoops, look. I've got a climbing wall in my own bedroom, which I don't use. And I've got hula hoops hanging on the climbing wall because I don't use the climbing wall. And I forget. I love hula hooping, but I forget. So I'm giving myself a challenge, and I'm putting the challenge out there to anybody else who's interested, that I'm going to try and do something fun every day. Even if it's just for like 30 seconds in between something ridiculous I need to do for the kids and getting in the car and going and doing the shopping or something like that. I love dancing, not proper dancing obviously, but just boogieing, moving my body, being silly. I love singing, and I don't do enough of it because I haven't set up my house to have, like, there used to be a thing down there and I could just put music on, and they've moved around the house, so I just need to set up the house to do that. So I just thought I'd put it out there, especially to those who've got kids or family members they need to look after, or whose lives seem a bit full of stuff, that actually just having a couple of moments to do something fun for yourself, even if it's just something silly. It doesn't need to mean going to the Harrogate Baths or getting on a boat or whatever, but to remind yourselves to have fun, because then your kids will see you doing it, or your friends will see you, and you'll probably realise that everything else just seems a little less hassle. And if anybody's got any suggestions as to what they would find fun, I mean, I'm thinking I might just go and buy a blinking basketball hoop, for goodness sake. As a kid, I used to love just that repetitive throwing into a basketball hoop. Or at least, I mean, there's one in Westbank Park. Again, I've never used it because I don't have a basketball. It doesn't cost a huge amount of money to buy a basketball. And then if I'm feeling like I want a bit of fresh air, I can just go and play a basketball thing. And it might make me seem a bit daft, like a 47-year-old woman throwing basketball hoops, but then what do I care? Because I think it's important for kids to see that adults can have fun too. And actually hitting the age of 12, which means you can't go in a playground anymore, suddenly means that your life is over and you can't have fun. So I just thought I'd put that out there because a couple of things had popped into my head, and I also like telling all you lot my crazy plans, because then I'm more likely to follow through because I've shared it with the group. So hold me accountable, make sure that I've done something fun tomorrow, and let me know if you've got any ideas, or if you want to share in some fun with me. Anybody want to come on a boat? Anybody want to go to Harrogate Baths? Anybody want to do the other thing I was thinking, I'd love to do some like structured journaling. Anybody up for doing that? If you live near me or you want to do it over Skype or whatever, then let me know. I'm coming up with some crazy ideas, and I might put some below. And if you want to join in, having a bit of fun, then let me know. Okay, everyone, take care. Bye.